My husband finally cut ties with his toxic mom and sister after they demanded we give up our house for my jobless sister-in-law and her family. My husband Mark and I bought our first house 3 years ago. Nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom ranch in a decent neighborhood. We saved for 5 years to afford the down payment, working extra shifts and skipping vacations. It was ours, and we were so proud of it. Mark's mom Linda and his sister Jessica came to the housewarming party. They smiled and congratulated us, but I could tell something felt off about the way they walked through each room. Linda kept making comments about how much space we had for just 2 people. Jessica mentioned multiple times how her kids would love having a backyard like ours. Her husband Brad had been unemployed for over a year, and they were living in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment with 3 kids. I felt bad for them, but it wasn't really our problem. Fast forward to last April. Mark and I were having dinner when his phone rang. It was Linda calling to inform us about a family meeting at her house that Sunday. No asking if we were available, just telling us to be there at noon. We showed up and found Jessica, Brad, and their kids already sitting in the living room. Linda didn't waste any time. She announced that Jessica's family was struggling and needed help. Rent was going up and Brad still couldn't find work. Then she looked directly at Mark and said, "You and your wife need to give Jessica your house." I actually laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't joking. Linda explained that Mark was being selfish keeping a 3-bedroom house when his sister's family needed it more. She said we were young and could easily rent an apartment for a few years while Jessica got back on her feet. Mark just sat there staring at his mom like she'd grown a second head. I asked if she was serious. Linda got this annoyed look on her face and said family helps family, and we clearly had more than we needed. Jessica jumped in saying her kids deserve to grow up in a real house with a yard, not cramped in some apartment, that their situation was temporary and we should understand. I looked at Mark expecting him to say something, but he was just frozen. So I spoke up. I told Linda we'd worked for 5 years to buy our house. We earned it. We weren't just going to hand over the deed because Jessica made poor financial choices. That set everyone off. Linda started yelling about how I was poisoning Mark against his family. Jessica called me selfish and said I never liked her anyway. Brad had the nerve to say we were being greedy. The whole room erupted into chaos. Mark finally stood up and said we needed to leave. We drove home in complete silence. I could tell he was processing everything. That night, I asked him what he wanted to do. Mark said he needed time to think. For 2 weeks, Linda called him every single day. She'd guilt trip him about abandoning family and choosing money over his sister's children. Jessica sent him photos of her cramped apartment with captions like, "This is where your nieces and nephew have to live because you won't help." The final straw came when Linda showed up at Mark's work. She caused a scene in the lobby demanding he stop being selfish and do the right thing. His boss had to ask her to leave. Mark came home that night and I'd never seen him so angry. He called his mom on speakerphone right in front of me, told her he was done, that she had no right to demand our house and no right to harass him at work. Linda tried interrupting, but Mark kept going. He said we'd sacrificed and saved while Jessica and Brad made bad decisions for years. That wasn't our responsibility to fix. He told her if she couldn't respect our boundaries, she wouldn't be part of our lives anymore. Linda started crying and begging. Jessica got on the phone screaming that Mark was abandoning his family. Mark just said, "We're done," and hung up. He blocked both their numbers right there. It's been 6 months now. We haven't spoken to Linda or Jessica at all. Mark's dad divorced Linda years ago, and he's been supportive of our decision. Jessica and Brad ended up moving in with Linda instead. Apparently living together hasn't gone well for any of them. Mark seems lighter now, like a weight's been lifted off his shoulders. Our house is still ours, and I'm grateful he finally stood up to them.